Weak, very weak apology, and not quite believable. I mean, all the evidence that we've seen over the course of the last 24 hours indicates he was briefed, he knew that not only had Peter Mandelson maintained a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein after his prison sentence for underage prostitution, he knew that Epstein had even been and stayed with him. So there was a lot of stuff that was known about the depth of that relationship. And the Prime Minister is trying to pretend all the way through he doesn't really know Peter Mandelson, he didn't really understand what the relationship was, so it's a very weak, late apology, not believable, and not helping his position one little bit. Well, he's going to try and soldier on. He'll probably sack Morgan McSweeney within the next week, and then he'll be gone himself at some point in the next 3 months. I sort of half think the Labour Party might want to keep him there up until May the 7th with the local elections and Welsh and Scottish elections, but who knows, events could move even more quickly than that. Of one thing I'm certain is that a Prime Minister can get things right, a Prime Minister can get things wrong, but a Prime Minister has to have good judgment. And appointing Peter Mandelson, given what he knew, was terrible judgment. This is the biggest scandal for 100 years. This is way bigger than the Profumo affair back in the early middle 60s. This is sex, money, corruption, leak of confidential information, the royal family's involved. This is a really, really big scandal, and it's difficult to see quite how this government gets out of it.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is battling for his political future. Overnight, Starmer apologised to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein and for appointing Peter Mandelson as the country's ambassador to the US, despite knowing of Mandelson's links to the convicted sex offender.
Victims of Epstein have lived with trauma that most of us can barely comprehend. They have seen accountability delayed and too often denied. I am sorry. Sorry for what was done to you. Sorry that so many people with power failed you. Sorry for having believed Mandelson's lies and appointed him.
Questions over the Prime Minister's judgment are not going away.
What was interesting yesterday was watching the faces of the backbenchers in the Commons. There was almost no support for him at all. He is deeply unloved by his own party. He was never loved by the country. He's the most unpopular Prime Minister of modern times.
Our country is not being governed. Nothing is happening. Legislation is not going through. Despite the government having about 160 majority, they're just going round and round in circles. The answer certainly is a different government.
The clock may be ticking on Starmer's leadership, and Beth Rigby has more now on the political fallout.
Look, I've done a load of these news conferences with the Prime Minister, and I have to tell you that this one felt very, very different today. It was tense in the room, it was emotional, it was palpable. I could feel his anger, and he was really strident as he addressed the issue of Mandelson directly. He was meant to be here in Hastings to talk about social cohesion, and he did that speech after he talked about Mandelson, but he opened this clearly fighting for his political survival, and in a couple of minutes really of him beginning the explanation as to why Mandelson was put back into government and how he was misled, you could see that he was really not just talking to that room, but talking to his MPs and the country as he made his case for why he should still be in post as Prime Minister. That is how serious all of this is, and that was a PM that knew it, and he knew that he was fighting for survival.
I am not part of the Westminster blob. I am like many people in this seat and millions of people in this country, hard-working taxpayers who are just fed up of watching what is happening to their communities and to their home.
Look, this is about the 6th safest Labour seat in the whole of the country. It's been Labour since the end of the First World War, but there is now a real fight going on here. I think we're off to a very, very good start, and what we don't yet know is what will the impact of the Mandelson affair be on voters on the doorsteps. That bit we haven't yet read.
Will this help?
Look, I think, we had our vote already. I think where this potentially helps us is people say, well, look, we want to get rid of Starmer. We've had enough, and this by-election could be the way to do it. So we see ourselves as the anti-Starmer vote. The Greens are fighting a big campaign as well. Look, we are in with a very, very good chance, and I would say that our chances improved over the last couple of days.